Welcome to the Trinity Force podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message, hit the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I'm your host for this evening. I am joined by Vrail and Q tonight. What's up, guys?
How we doing?
Nothing much. Ready for the holidays.
Nothing much. Yet this guy was just talking about it wasn't the NBA. You're talking about NHL right before the podcast
Yes.
started.
The NHL team I root for might trade for someone. That's really exciting. So that's good shit. But it hasn't happened yet, so I don't want to jinx anything.
Yeah, I'm just getting around. I have my 4-day work week coming up, so happy to get some games in before this. I played quite a number of games this weekend, thank God, and I'm quite enjoying the game as it is right now, and I'm excited to talk about some listener questions this evening because last week we asked people to write in and let us know what are the questions that are burning your mind. We'll take any and all of them, and we got quite a number that came in. And because of this, Q, who is the podcaster in audition, is going to be put through the ringer this evening, as I'm going to force him to try to answer just about every question, or at least start the discussion when I re-listen a question. Before we get to that, don't forget to check out buddhaboxers.com/tforce. Use code TrinityForce for 20% off your order. Premium, high-quality, inexpensive boxers. They're made from bamboo to help wick away the sweat, which leaves you feeling fresh. Compared to other brands, none of them will keep you as comfy as Buddha Boxers. buddhaboxers.com/tforce. Code TrinityForce for 20% off your order. And if you have a question, we are still taking plenty of them because we're going to have plenty more podcasters rolling around in this joint as we continue to rebuild the Trinity Force podcast. So email us feedback@trinityforcepodcast.com. You guys ready to talk League of Legends?
So ready.
I can see it. You all look super excited. Ready to carry the rest of these noobs, aka me. All right, we're going to start right at the top here because we have some old listener questions before we get to all the brand new ones. So Brian writes in, I have been finding myself behind in levels pretty much every game in the jungle. I can keep up and farm with my laners and still be behind. Would you mind discussing how I can fix this? Like I said, Q, I'm putting you on the spot with this, even if you don't play jungle.
Sure. So I think a lot of it, well, we have to talk about Scuttle. That's the big thing we got to talk about, because if you're missing Scuttle or not getting ganks off like you're supposed to be, that you're relying on, you're going to be behind in the jungle in terms of experience. Definitely focus on the Scuttle control. Ping your mid laner, ping your top laner, ping your bot when you're trying to get it, because it's really important. So I understand in this meta right now.
It's pretty funny that you bring up Scuttle because I had jungle a couple times this last weekend, and like the first time I had forgot Scuttle was even a thing. I started doing like an old path thing, like red, Raptors, blue, etc. And then after that I went, oh right, I should probably be taking Scuttle control. And now that we're talking about this, Vrail, before the podcast I mentioned that I was playing and the guy was counter jungling me a lot, but I was still keeping up levels with him. And now that we've talked about this, I'm pretty sure it's because I was taking the Scuttle crabs as they were popping.
Jungle XP is a weird thing because I've been super far ahead in whether that's in farm or kills, regardless. But I've been ahead and I've been the same level as the opponent. I've been lower level, higher level. I think it kind of depends on what the enemy jungler is doing, because if he's just sitting in a lane soaking EXP, then he's gonna have a better time staying up in levels. So I wouldn't worry so much on the level discrepancy as your kill participation and your farm numbers, because that's really what you can control the most, I would say.
Yeah. Even being a level down is fine as a jungler for the most part. Obviously, if we go to counter gank and we're 6 and the enemy jungler is 6, that can we're 5 and the enemy jungler is 6, that can completely turn a gank around. But really, it's paying attention to the mini-map and trying to understand where you need to be and why you need to be there. For example, when I played this weekend, it was Vrail was playing bot lane with Dom. Do you remember what you guys were playing that game? You were getting shoved to shit.
I think we were playing Morgana Swain. Was that the game like yesterday?
I think it was the day before.
I don't remember.
I guess I can always look it up by going to OPGG, right? But
I don't know. We were probably carrying. I don't know.
Well, whatever it was, you guys were consistently being pushed under the. Oh, it was Pike. It was Pike something. What was it? Where's my Kane game here? It was Pike Swain. But you guys were playing into Yasuo Thresh, and it was just a constant shit show of them attempting to dive you guys the entire time. Does that game now ring a bell?
It doesn't. Did I do poorly? I probably blotted it out.
No, we ended up winning that game. I think I ended up being 9-2-1. Let's see, where were you at? Vrail. No, you did great. 14-4-8.
Oh, well, okay, never mind then. I don't remember that game, but yeah.
Yeah, you probably
Your
played
point.
More. My point being that you guys were playing a comp that was constantly being pushed in and they were just constantly on top of you guys, and so I made it a point to ignore my other lanes and just be down there every single time. And I really do believe that having the jungler presence there is what kept you guys afloat and allowed you to get to your point of a spike that you were allowed to carry, and now you could 2v2 them. I think I spent probably 5 or 6 minutes in my entire jungle time down in bot lane just counter ganking all the time that I could.
Yeah, I mean, Swain is always going to struggle with wave clear, but he has really good gank assist, so he's actually pretty good to. If you're looking for someone to camp early, I think Swain's one of the better champions because even though his wave clear sucks, it's not like his damage is bad early, and he has like so much CC that he can provide that he's a really good person to camp. But yeah, if you see someone getting pushed in, it's normally a good idea to try and steer that way so you can try and affect it a little bit.
Anything else to add to it, Q?
I don't think so. I mean, just make sure, like you said, to be paying attention to where you need to be, and when you catch yourself wandering to a lane that doesn't need you, think about what that's costing you in terms of XP.
Yeah, there's too many times where I think if I play in jungle and I see the jungler either doing okay or getting kind of pushed in the top, that I just really do ignore it. I want to say that if Bieber was here, he'd probably argue the exact opposite. Didn't he say for a while there he was camping the shit out of top lane? I suppose in the new meta, that completely gets thrown out the window, right?
Yeah, he likes to camp top just because that's normally where a jungle can have the most influence. It's a long lane. There's only one other person. So I feel like it's the easiest to get successful ganks off, but not always the most impactful.
Well, another listener question that came in. I'm gonna take chat questions as priority here too. Future, he wants to know what champs have we been banning, because he's been banning Nocturne because he feels like the game gets run away with him.
Vladimir. I ban Vladimir every single game.
Depends on what you're playing, what you're looking to avoid. Like I play Malzahar mid, so I don't like big ass tanks like Mundo. Can't really do much against that, so I'll ban that out. All depends.
He doesn't like building Burl and Namakan.
No.
It goes against his pattern.
I mean, I rarely think champions are truly like overtuned or broken, as everyone likes to say, but I think Vladimir is a problem champion.
Definitely.
Because I mean, I just have this really vivid memory of this Vladimir who was like, he was like 2-12, 2-11, something like that. And I was doing fairly good. And he just had Predator. He came in and did his full combo and 100-0'd me in like under half a second. I was like, what the hell? This dude is literally feeding, and it doesn't matter because he has so much sustain. He just came in and obliterated our whole team.
Pretty sure we talked about that last week.
I hate Vladimir.
I'm sick of the empowered Qs doing 1,200 damage or so. Like one fucking ability.
Yeah, he has a solid laning phase. He scales really well, and he's pretty good with the runes. I just feel that he does too much, and he's like impossible to kill. He's incredibly frustrating to play against.
I agree. I'd ban that if I had to pick one to ban.
I've been banning a lot of Tryndamere and Yasuo. I just feel like a lot of my games, while they can be over really quickly, if something stupid happens, Tryndamere just ends up sitting in side lanes and pushing really hard. And because of the way everything is working, his power farming, split pushing, dueling potential is kind of being abused right now because he could do it so well, and there's no like ranged champions to really keep him on a level playing field. So I like to get rid of Trend. I like to get rid of Suo. Basically, I'm just trying to get rid of those champions that could potentially screw up our team comp that we have, whatever you want to call that.
If I were to do like a top 3 that I'm banning, it's Vladimir first normally. I normally wait a second before I ban to see what my team bans, and maybe they'll ban what I was thinking about. So it's like Vladimir, Aurelia, and Yasuo. Because I think those champions all have something in common where they're really popular at the moment, and they're strong, and they have the potential to be played in 3 different lanes. So the likelihood that they're in your game is really high. So that's like the combo of those things make them really good ban candidates in my opinion. Like I think Talon's really strong, but he's not picked enough where I feel like it's worth banning him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I'm trying to think if there's any. I think Vladimir's the only one down there in the bot lane that would really want me to stop, not to play against it. Like, I'm not scared of Graves. And a lot of times when we're playing, I'm like, oh man, I actually should be picking Nocturne here. I pick Kayn a lot of times in the jungle, and I probably should be picking Nocturne instead, because I feel like his ultimate's a little more disruptive than Kayn's is, or just his kit in general. But yeah,
I think Nocturne's ult's really disruptive. It can totally mess up a team fight. Just not being able to see is really underrated.
What, you don't like a black piece of paper on your screen?
Not particularly, but even if you are Nocturne ulted, you can kind of see what's happening if you have an idea where he's going, because you still see like his animation where if he puts that black mist that follows them around or whatever, and you see like electrocute procs and all that kind of stuff. So you can still have an idea of where stuff is going down if you're running to them. You just have to be looking around on your map.
You have to be aware of your surroundings. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, which is always a struggle.
That's really hard, yeah.
I'm too busy looking at tab, all the sweet KDAs that's going on. I'm actually trying to figure out why Vrail has so much more farm than me. If there's anything out here that I've ever noticed by playing with Vrail a billion times over, is this: he is the best ever at never letting anybody but himself have farm. Like, I will go base and come back and be like, where the fuck is any lane's farm at? Why is
it like
everything
physically
pushed out?
pains me when I see a big wave crashing into a lane. And Dom always points this out where I'm off farming the side lane when I should be grouping, which is just something I struggle with, but I normally have a lot of gold that way. So then when eventually I do decide to come around and team fight, I'm relatively strong.
Dude, I play Malzahar, so I see one of those waves and just go use my spells and then group,
Yeah, it's a bigger problem when I'm playing like an ADC or something.
Yeah.
Or support.
Yeah, I don't know about grouping. I think we could get to that in a little bit.
I don't know about group. Sounds dumb.
I don't know about grouping. I got a whole topic of conversation. I think I want to get opinions on that, but we might save that for this. I guess Wednesday won't have a podcast because it is July 4th, but I think we'll save that one. Eric writes in. He wants to know: are Wukong and Kayn good in this meta? Why or why not?
Wukong can one-shot people. That's always fun.
Anytime I ever see Wukong, it feels like that's what he's doing, right? Like he's just going in, blowing somebody up, and it's like, holy shit, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, I agree. I think Wukong more so than Kayn would be quote unquote meta, just because like Wukong's really good with Electrocute and Duskblade, and even if he's behind, you can still once you get to a certain level point and a certain item point, if someone is not like super tanky, it doesn't really matter if you're behind or ahead. You can just your combo should kill them. So he like has a safety net where like his it's really hard to counterplay someone who could just stealth in and immediately CC you and get a whole bunch of damage off. So that's why he kind of has a safety net of being able to scale even if he's behind. So I think Wukong's pretty good. Kayn I just don't see a lot of. I think Kayn's okay. I just don't see him a lot.
Kayn is okay right now. As a jungler, it's a pretty safe bet to pick Kayn, but you're not expecting Kayn to be able to, do much for probably the first 3 to 4 levels because his early clear is a little on the slower side. He doesn't have a pop-up or any kind of knock-up to be able to take Scuttle very quickly early, nor does he got what I want to Kayn to have is just a tiny bit more damage on his W to make it easier to you could pretty much two-shot the Raptors. If there was maybe 10 damage added to his W or 5 to 10 damage at rank 1 and 2. You can W the Raptors and then Q in and kill all the little ones and just spend the time on the big one. And that comes the problem there is that it's harder for him to take some of those AoE. It's not harder, but it's a little slower for him to take some of those AoE camps. And because of that, he struggles a little bit with taking those early in the game, which slows his clear down, which doesn't allow him to contest very well. Plus, he's really gated by the fact that he has to get some kind of form to be able to do anything. You really don't come online very well until you get the form. And but with that said, there's so many bruisers on this map right now that Red Kayn counters all those bruisers really, really well.
Yeah. We could even like clarify where Red Kayn is meta and Blue Kayn's kind of trash.
Yeah, Blue Kayn's great. He can do pretty well, but yeah,
if they're picking like an actual ADC and a mage mid laner, which is not really what people do now, then I think it's okay. But if you got bruisers everywhere, I think Blue Cane, and unless you're really far ahead, is just gonna fall off and not be able to do anything.
I don't ever see. That's the thing with Kane. I don't ever have a problem with him falling off per se. I mean, I guess he can, but he's so disruptive and he has so much healing through his Q that you can end up buying something like a Sterix or a Black Cleaver as like a third item after you'll first go warrior into some kind of defensive item, and then you're able to build another offensive item somewhere in there because he has so much sustain through his Q. So like I said, I really, really like him. I think his pop-up is disruptive. I think his healing is disruptive. He's able to stay in the fight for a really long time. But if you're not skilled with using W and then E to either engage or get out of a team fight and heal back up, you're going to suffer a lot with Kane. You have to pick your fights very carefully with him.
Yeah, I think he's very intricate. He's no Master Yi, you know.
Right
No, not at
click,
all.
press Q, and dodge. No.
Yep.
All right. Well, back to the listener questions here. What is this? Elko92 wants to know. I've been playing a lot of Darius. If I can get him, is Black Cleaver still good to go over Triforce? Is Triforce to go to first item for Darius now?
I don't play a lot of Darius, but I do know some Darius mains who almost always go Trinity Force first. I think it's just a better item. I think the thought behind Black Cleaver is if you don't have some way of getting auto attack in, then it's worth going over Trinity Force, but it's just kind of weaker overall. But since Darius has his auto attack reset and can use the Trinity Force proc effectively, I think that's what most Darius people are going.
All right. Well,
So again, I don't play it personally.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say Trinity Force Sterix is still a good combo to pick up. And that's what a lot of the Darius players are still going for right now. And see, I'm going to get this wrong. I know Sterix was just changed, but I was pretty sure it favors Darius now. And
Yeah, I think it gives him, because his alt scales on bonus damage, I think it gives him more damage on his execute. I don't remember how much, but it is a buff.
Yeah, Trinity
That's
Force
cool.
Sterix is the go-to. All right. Well, there's that question. Duplicity writes in, what do you recommend for someone who is new to the scene but has limited time to climb and gather information? I love playing competitively and want to maximize the use of my time. Q, as a teacher and whatnot, I got to imagine there's something here to help with this, right?
No, you're on your own. You're gonna have to just slam your head against League of Legends players for the next 80 games. No. What I like to do is there are a lot of people playing League of Legends, fortunately, and there's a lot of people that are recording their games of League of Legends. People that are way better than all of us combined. So what I like to do is so if I'm learning a new role, like I'm picking up mid lately, so I would like to learn a little bit more about mid. I'll look up someone who knows what they're doing in mid, say Faker, say anybody that is above Diamond, and say full game after in the Google. So Faker, Malzahar, full game. And there's usually someone's putting out a constant stream of games that have really good people playing them up to this patch. So you can go and watch from his point of view every move he makes and see if you can learn anything from that. That's what I do. And of course, there's a ton of YouTube videos and everything that break down any role you could want. But maybe watch more League of Legends rather than play it. And then when you play it, think about your play a lot. Review your play after each team fight, after each game. Think about how you could have done better. Focus on your play, not so much anyone else's, because really you're the only constant in the equation. That is MMR and solo queue. So you're the only thing you can change in that. So analyze every play that you make and see how you can do it better.
I was going to ask you, when you're watching those videos and, like you're watching Faker play Malzahar or whoever it may be, what are you looking for something specific out of those videos while you're watching them? Like,
yeah,
do you
if there's
sorry, just let me expand on that real quick. Do you pick something like that day, I want to learn how to CS better, or I want to do this? Like, what is your thought process?
Yeah, so I had a weird issue with Malzahar early game, levels 1 through 3. I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be using spells on the opponent. I don't know if I'm supposed to be using spells on the wave. I don't know. And so I specifically looked for that when I was looking at videos to see what they're doing. And it turns out it depends really heavily on what's going on in the game. But yeah, I'll pick certain things like But it's more noticing things that they do that I don't do. So it's a big one, and you'll notice that as anywhere from platinum or under, looking at games that higher elo players do. You'll be like, wow, that was really interesting. I don't do that, such as ward timings and rotations and things.
There's I want to say that just about every champion has a main subreddit. There's a lot of times there's like rock stars of those main subreddits.
Yeah.
What's his name? There's a I can't remember the Jin main now off the top of my head. But there's a Jin main, and he'll stream or post VODs where he'll walk through every piece of it and tell you why he did what and why he's putting this trap here or why he's Wing at this point, etc. And a lot of those, when I was doing a hard climb, helped me out quite a bit. The same thing you're saying, like if you're stuck all day and you have access to YouTube and you're able to watch videos, watching somebody that's explaining it, it's the same thing as like taking a class for whatever you're doing. You're going to absorb the information one way or the other.
Yeah, and also one more thing, if you're looking to play competitively and maximize the use of time, one big thing to talk about is what champions you're actually playing, because you're going to want, if you're really talking about climbing efficiently, you're going to want to play 2 to 3 champions over and over again until you can really get a feel for them. That's how you'll climb, rather than playing a different champion every game. Makes it a lot harder just for repetition and the feel of the champion's sake.
I do want to throw it out here right now that in the state of the game, if Force, probably most people won't agree with this, but I would say with the state of the game the way it is and solo queue the way it is, with it being so fucking nutty and you never know what you're going to get, that if you're not climbing hard this season, it's because you really need to go back and look at your personal ability to carry and turn the tides of the game, because the game is going to revolve a lot around that one single person that's carrying or able to help others carry really hard. So if you are always relying on other people to help you get to a point that you feel comfortable, you need to go back and figure out what you were doing wrong and why you're not able to solo carry those games. Because you can't, I think at this point you really can, right? Vrail, I've seen you do it a number of times.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay, go ahead. You were going to say something else, you think?
Yeah, I was just trying to get back to that question that was originally asked. I feel like if you don't have a lot of time, you have to kind of keep it realistic that you might not climb as quickly as you want to if you don't have enough time to actually devote to getting better. You don't get frustrated if you can't, you have this vision of yourself, I'm going to be gold by the end of the season. But if you don't have enough time to actually try and practice and get better, then it might not happen. So you just have to kind of keep it realistic. If you don't have enough time to invest, then you shouldn't expect to get the results as if you did have that amount of time. So you just have to keep it in perspective.
Yeah, it's true. It's just like any other sport, you have to put in the time and things to actually play.
Well, do you want to read DeCruz's question? We have a question that came in the Twitch chat.
Yeah. Sup, guys? Been listening for over a year now. How do you know what champions would be best to pick to have in your 3 champion pool? I think building off the question that I mentioned about having 2 or 3, a few things you could do. You can always check the data. op.gg is a good one. Champion.gg to see.
So we actually found a better site now, which you weren't part of this conversation because you're not part of Slack, which is unfortunate. So as of right now, we're using U, as in U, the letter U, .gg.
U.gg
as
cool.
Like our primary source for champion analytics and whatnot. It actually has, it's like up, what'd they say? I have to go look up the email. They updated like every 6 to 8 hours, I believe, even after the patches launch. And
cool.
So you get a better look at the total the percentages that people are playing.
And there's 2 sides to this, because a lot of people, think and it is kind of dumb to look at the data, because it is a game and you should be playing what you enjoy. For sure, especially when you're going to be playing it almost exclusively. I think it's it's way more important to be playing what you enjoy rather than what's at the top of the charts, because you can kind of stick with it through the thick and thin, But if you're looking to say, all right, I want to play top now, and I never really played top, who should I start with? That's when you hit the data and say, well, these ones are pretty good right now. Try one out, see how it goes, and go from there.
We also have to look at what your play style is like, or what your perceived play style is like. Are you more of a team player? Are you more of a solo carrier, etc.? Do you like to be disruptive and whatever it may be? Because some of these champions can do all of it, can do a single piece of it. Like if I'm looking at if I go to u.gg right now and I look at the win rate, Quinn in top lane is the highest with 55.32%. But you might not be a very good range champion player. Instead, you might need to look into somebody that's a little more simple, like Tryndamere, or maybe you want to go somebody that has a complicated kit that you're able to, make up for your lack of ability to, I don't know, auto attack properly or trade. There's something you're trying to make up for. Camille does a pretty good job of that when it comes to being able to trade and getting it out. Like, I understand that not everyone out here is going to be able to look at these champions and go, well, this is why I want to pick that champion. But that's really what our Discord and whatnot's here for. Hey, I'm this type of player. This is what I'm looking for. I'm thinking about playing this champion. Why or why not?
Yeah, this is like super because like my approach to it, I never really go off what's meta or not. If my champions that I enjoy playing happen to be meta, that's kind of great for me. But I just stick with the champions that I like playing, and then kind of roll the dice with that. And I try and get good enough at the champions that I like that even if they're not meta, I can still find success on them. But since I like playing them, I'm going to enjoy the game a lot more that way.
Yeah, that does what it comes down to. I know I played marksman forever, but really the marksman I like to play was Jhin. And then when I had to be thrown into that meta where it's suddenly I'm playing Sivir or I'm playing Ashe and stuff, I slowly started to not enjoy the game anymore. But now that we're to Bruisers are my jam. I love fucking just going in, being into the thick of things and being stupid. I played Volibear top last night, for God's sake. And I just get really stupid with it. I'm like, all right, Papa Predator, I'm going in. You guys are coming. I don't care what the fuck's happening. Follow or die.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to find something you enjoy and then stick with it.
I did play Malzahar for a while there. I got so bored with it, though. I'm not really sure how you can
love
make
it.
him.
I love the. I don't know why. He's definitely my favorite champion. I love the wave control. I can just control the whole entire game with the minions.
See, champions
It's
like
so fun.
Malzahar and Anivia are super frustrating to play against because they're so non-interactive in laning phase. Because once they get to Anivia, once she gets 6 and even a little earlier because she can Q the wave and it can blow up the wave pretty quickly. But like teams like Malzahar and Anivia, they just don't play the game. They just sit back and farm and then wait to do something with their
And then nuke you
ultimate.
later. Yeah,
That's because they play their own
Incredibly
game.
frustrating.
it's great.
It's like
man.
a free pass through laning phase, and it's just not fun to play with.
It's really fun, dude. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, that's because, like I said, they play their own game. They do what they want to do. If they want to push the wave and roam, they do it. If they want to hold the wave and harass you, they do it. They play their own goddamn game, which isn't that big a deal. Like, if that's your playstyle and that's how you want to play around it, Malzahar might be the perfect pick for anybody.
But if they play, there's like literally nothing anyone can do if they just sit back and farm. Like, there's no counterplay to it because, like, Malzahar can use his 3 abilities on a wave and then just walk back and
Walk away.
like
Yep.
the creeps and the poison, the aids will just kill the whole wave. It's like there's no skill involved with it at all. It's just using your
Hey,
ability
man.
and then walking away.
It's so skillful. The only counterplay is to kill it very early with an assassin. That's it. But even then, like Malzahar from behind, it's all good. It's not bad.
Yeah, because you can flash alt and then people still have to pay 1,300 gold on a QSS.
And you can really stop feeding easily just by wave managing, and running under turret.
Yeah, I don't like Malzahar.
I like it because he's simple. That said, like last night, I know we had a pretty bad game overall with the surrender, the very last game of the night, Varel. But playing Zoe,
Oh, that was terrible.
I really liked the interaction to Zoe. And granted, I'm a terrible Zoe player, right? But I had a lot of fun playing her because, like trying to get in, it's kind of like the same reason that you might play Vel'Koz. Like trying to get in the head of the person when you're playing with angles it's quite a bit of fun. And I liked being able to throw my Qs off and try to weave it through minions to hit the person. And then when even if I miss, I'm still popping them with my auto attack because they think that they're safe, and now they're being chunked for a small portion of their life, and they have to back off for the trade. That's my type of play style. So I'm not necessarily going to continue to play Zoe because I'm a pretty piss poor mid player in general. But like that kind of champion speaks to me, and I know why it speaks to me.
Yeah, I guess some people would say, well, Vel'Koz is kind of the same where he can just instantly clear the wave. But the way I played is I clear the wave because I want to try and harass them under turret while they're getting their minions. So some Vel'Koz players might be able to do the same thing as just clear the wave, then walk back and try and do stuff with their ultimate. But that's not how I do it. I want to try and get kills in laning phase because like Vel'Koz past level 3 can get really good trades, and you're just trying to set them up so where you can get a kill at 6.
good question. Who was that? That wasn't here. What do you recommend for someone? Duplicity. I hope you find something there that helps you out with it. I'm going to jump over here to Tucker's question, and that's going to lead us into a question that came from Captain Complicated as well. There's another question that came in about chat about Yorick, and we'll get to that as well during the course of this podcast. But Tucker writes in, he goes, I'm a silver top Fiora player, but my solo queue teams often lack tanks or engage. Even if I do well top lane, we end up losing team fights. As I climb, is it my responsibility to fill the roles that are lacking for my team?
If you're in silver, you should be able, if you get ahead on Fiora, you should be able to just split push until you win. It shouldn't matter what your team comp is. Because Fiora, if you're ahead on Fiora and you're split pushing, you should be able to like 1v2, 1v3. And even if your team is really terrible, it shouldn't matter because you should be able to just control the map. Because Fiora scales so hard and is one of the best late game champions. So I would focus on that and just trying to make yourself strong rather than tailoring what you pick to something you might not be as good at to what your team needs. I just play what you're good at.
Yeah, even in like low diamond, high plat, we have team comps that don't even work, and we still end up winning sometimes. So
yeah, you got to give the benefit of the doubt to the player in the position most of the time.
But generally, it'd be nice if you could fill that role. Maybe have a champ. Like what I would do is, if I played top, I would have one champ that I knew I could play well for a tank, and then a bruiser. Pick one of each kind of that way, just in case. But if you don't want to do that and that's not your style, don't do it.
Yeah, if you're able to work on your mechanics well enough that you're able to abuse the enemy in top lane as Fiora, like Vrail said, you should be able to run away with the game, or at least draw enough attention to you that your team should be able to do something. Now that does require you to be kind of like the captain of the team, where you're pinging, telling people to go places, or telling them that I'm split pushing. You guys need to we're doing 1-3-1. We're doing 3. Take a dragon in a minute and a half. Whatever it is, just kind of like leading the pack the best you can. You're hurting cats.
So what if you're playing a split pusher in low elo? What I found successful when I play on my alternate account is I just tell my team it doesn't matter what you do, just wait. Like try and keep us so we're all like the same distance from enemy turrets. So they have to wait for you to have pressure before they walk up, because that's how you can take advantage if they lose a fight. If you're not at, like, say the wave is on your half of the map and your team takes a bad fight, you can't get anything off that. Right. But if you're both at the turrets and they take a bad fight, you get the turret. So you just have to tell them, wait for me to have pressure before you do anything. And you can maybe explain it to them if they can't wrap their mind around that. And that's like the single most important thing to split pushing, I think. It's just everyone has to have pressure at the same time or it kind of falls apart.
Yeah. Pay attention to where you're standing on the map.
Yeah. And that goes for everybody. Like if we have a split pusher, you really shouldn't be pushing. You should let the split pusher lead the team fight. They're not there, but they're still leading when that team fight is going to happen based on the fact that they need to be pretty even with you. If they're top lane and you're mid lane, you need to be the same point in the lanes at all point in time, because I'm reiterating, if you fail a team fight, likely that top laner doesn't have anybody fighting against them, and they're now able to take a turret or push and get some damage on it or whatever it may be. So follow that split pusher around and use their positioning to your advantage, and always don't go past where they're at. Treat them like a mobile ward. I think that's the best way to do it, right? Like this weird.
It's one way to think about it. I don't know.
I'm just trying to think of a way that might be helpful to someone that would go, you know what, that makes sense. Well, the reason I read Tekker's question is because Captain Complicated wrote in chat. He wants to know, when learning the basics of macro, do you think it's better to learn one role and learn the game through its eyes, or would it be better to put some time into each role to see the game and learn from their perspective? Well, at this point in time, you can't really do that very well, can you?
That's an interesting question.
It's a good question.
It depends, like what kind of basics are you looking for? Like where you should be at what time. You can probably learn the basics of macro on any role because they all are kind of intertwined in which way, like where people go after something happens. All the their true basics should be pretty learnable, and no matter what you're playing, it's probably easiest just to watch videos about it, honestly, and then try and apply it in your game rather than trying to focus on, well, I'm going to play 10 games in mid and focus on all the macro about this 10 games in top. It's going to be a lot quicker and more efficient if you just YouTube videos that say what are the basic macros for this role.
Best thing to do.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Best thing to do too, and I see it all the time when I'm playing Smurfing and playing with friends that are silver, gold even. We'll win an epic team fight, like 4-0 or whatever, and then everybody just backs to base. I'm like, okay, so I don't care what health you like. You could be at 10%, all of us, but we could take that turret because
Right.
we wiped them. So like I'm having to ping kids at that elo, like, hello, hello, like we're still playing games, like we're not done, you know? Like, yeah, we won the team fight, that's great, but we did not get what we came for still. So like let's clean it up and then go back. And that's one of the bigger macro problems that lower elo kids have for whatever reason.
When we're playing, I don't want to say I see a lot of that. It's probably a bad way to say this, but like we'll be playing and we'll end a team fight, and the question always pops up: can we do Baron? There's three of us live.
Baron.
Can we do Baron? And the answer is either yes or no, obviously. But people are thinking about it. Can we do Baron? No, we can't do Baron. But let's go push this tower. Oh, that's
We've
a good
lost
idea.
a lot of games with ill-advised barons where we
Right.
try and be greedy with our macro calls.
Yeah. Can we take this
At
dragon?
the very
Can we
least,
play
if you
around
want to
this?
fight, you should always try and push lanes, and then if you're further up in the enemy team, you want to take jungle camps on your way out. That's
Yeah,
like
just anything you can do after it, like because you could do anything you want. Like yeah, push the waves in. That's priority number one. Like jungler comes in and ganks you, you get a kill. He should help you push the wave in. Like you should be pushing the wave in every time because it's just how to play. You know.
But if the enemy, or excuse me, if you let's say you gank top and let's say you're a jungler, you gank top, you get a kill, you need to push the wave in. Don't be Vrail and take my CS. Let me get my CS.
smite
because-
the cannons, boys. Smite the cannons.
I don't know how many times that's why when I play mid lane, like now when Vrail's bot, I play mid.
No,
I come
I'm
down
not
there and
gonna apologize for
I take
that.
his CS now. I have stopped.
I'm not going to
feeling bad
apologize for
about him.
taking CS.
No.
I don't care if you come and take my CS. I just want to get it under turret as quick as possible so I
See, it
can
depends.
get back.
Jungler
It
gets
doesn't
the kill.
matter. It doesn't.
Jungler
I don't
gets
get
the
mad
kills
when
for you.
I don't get mad when junglers come in and take the CS if they're helping me push. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to get it under turret so I can back and have the wave in a good place for me when I get back in the lane. That's more important than missing 3 or 4 minions.
I agree. It's more about the XP than anything.
See, I didn't say I got mad. I just say I get like a tinge annoyed when I could obviously like you could throw a spell in there. They're all really low, and it would take me 1 second to go ping 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 with an ability and take them all, but they're all gone, which is fine. I would rather it obviously be under the turret. That's why I've literally never ever said anything, and of course I'm just saying it now to be funny on the podcast. But like, let me get my CS sometimes, man. I'm Caitlyn. I can cue the wave and take the CS after you use your AoE.
I'm always greedy for CS though.
I know. So that's why I've decided if I play mid or jungle, I'm going to start taking all of real CS and I'm not going to apologize for it anymore. I'm just
That's
throwing
fine.
it out there.
Understandable.
He doesn't care. I'm going to answer this one other question that came in the chat because it's been a bit and we didn't get to it and I feel bad. Where's that? I've been playing Darius. Oh, here we go. Tomb of Simulation. He wants to know when will with the Yorick buffs looking like they are overcompensated, the Sterix rework in 8.12, and favorable matchups like Darius, Vlad, GP, and Ornn being seen. Any chance we have the most linear juggernaut? I'm assuming that's what that means. Basically,
Like they think Yorick's OP.
yeah.
Kind of.
Is he the de facto juggernaut now with the changes? I'm assuming
Sure.
what that question means. I guess the answer is maybe yes. Sorry, we can't answer the question very well. Rewrite it.
Any chance we have the most linear? It's like trying to guesswork. I think Yorick is good, but he's not the kind of champion that is super popular. So generally, when you run into Yorick, it's people who either one-trick him or play him a lot. So they're normally pretty good at him. So my experience with Yorick is whenever he's in my game, I like to have him on my team because I feel like he's really good at split pushing. He's good at 1v1ing, and he has a lot of map control. So, I mean, I like it when Yorick's in the game. I don't know if he's overpowered or necessarily like super strong, but I think in the right hands he's really good, and he's good into a lot of the bruisers.
I hate Maiden. Maiden has too much life, too many resistances, and does too much fucking damage. That ability alone is overpowered. That ability wins every Yorick fight ever because he would not be powerful without Maiden.
Yeah, people just forget that it like tethers to you and does a lot of damage. That's part of his kit that makes him so strong, because it's not something you have to. There's no skill involved. You just drop it and then it tethers onto whoever you're fighting. So
Symmetra.
yeah, and it helps take turrets quick. It just kind of adds into the whole split push 1v1 thing that you want to do with Yorick.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Maiden, you can't do anything about it. It's not like Zyra plants where they made it so you could one-shot them with abilities or auto attacks if you're melee, right? You can't kill her in a team fight. If Maiden comes out, you pretty much need to run away from that team fight unless you can burst straight through Yorick.
I don't know if Adam, you might have had this experience before, but I was playing Jin versus York once. I didn't have flash, and York was really fed, and I was really fed. And I walked up, he got me in his cage, and before I could auto his cage enough to let me out, his minions and his maiden had killed me.
That happened to me the
There's
other
literally
day.
nothing I could do because I don't have any attack speed, so I can't kill it quick enough. I didn't have flash to get out. They just melted me.
I
It
was
was like in
playing
2 seconds I was dead.
I was playing top something. Maybe it was Garen or something top, and there was one team fight where it was like that. You know how top lane sometimes, or even mid lane, there's that one fight where you walk out and the one person lives with less than a quarter of HP, and then that decides the lane for the rest of the time. That's what happened to me. I think I had walked out of that lane to 0-6 or something crazy because I just couldn't fucking lane against this guy. And the same thing happened. He dropped gate on me. I think it was Nasus. That's what it was. He would drop gate on me and then Maiden, and I'm just like, well, withering you does nothing because Maiden's killing me. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I understand why Maiden does so much damage, but I really think it needs to be looked at. But what do I know? I'm not a balancer.
He's not popular enough to get the nerf hammer, I feel.
Right.
They're gonna let the people who play him have their fun.
Dane writes in. He goes, I'm in my promos and won one game. At this point, Dane, I hope that you've already made it through your promos and you don't need this advice, but this goes out to anybody out there who's not waiting for us to answer questions. I'm in my promos and one game. I play Alistar, Janna, Lulu, but with the craziness in bot lane, I'm afraid that I'm inclined to play new champions like Brand or Pyke, but I'm not as skilled with them. Any advice on how to proceed?
You don't have to change. You're perfect just the way you are. No, if you want to play new champions, do it. If you don't, that's fine too. I mean, Alistar, Janna, Lulu are all really good right now. So, I don't see why you're inclined to play. I mean, I understand Brand and Pyke can really ruin your day early game. But if that's not your style, don't do it. But if you want to try it, go for it. Maybe play some normals first.
Play what
I
you're
think
good
Alistar is super strong right now. He's really good against bruisers because you can just knock them back, and if they come back in, you can just knock them up. I think he's one of the best counter champions to non-traditional bot lanes, I guess. I think he's really strong. I think Lulu is also because she's really good at kiting, and you have polymorph. So I don't really think if you're like afraid about having success with the champions you're playing, I don't think you should. I think the champions you're playing are fine. So I would stick with them, especially if you're more comfortable with them. I've lost a lot of ranked games where I was like, I'm just gonna do this one game, and then I feed, and then I'm sad. I remember why I don't do that.
If you're getting like this tinge that you want to play Brand or Pyke, go play some normals. Right? Go play Aram, go play normals, whatever it may be. Play these champions in there and get a feel for them. But seriously, like Alistar is one of the best. Besides Fiddlesticks, Alistar is one of the best counters right now. Like all the champions that you play counter the meta really well. I think the only reason we lost one of our games yesterday when I was Volibear was because they had a fucking Janna that made it so that it was literally impossible for our team comp to engage on them because they have Janna, which made it so we had to play on their terms. And like if you're playing against all these bruisers, that's what Janna's going to do really, really well. So why would you not pick her into in team comp? Plus, she's going to bolster anybody that she can with her, with Q and E, and she pokes really well. I mean, there's a whole thing here I can talk about Janna, but still, my point being that if you're in your promos or you're playing ranked at all, always play what you know. Don't ever play something that you're not comfortable with. And if you feel that way, go play normal.
Yeah, don't listen to the nerds that tell you to play something else, in champ select. Play Pyke. Just be like, nah.
No, wait, touch that.
Pyke requires a little bit of practice, I think.
I really enjoy him, but yeah. All right, well, Brandon writes in, are there any tips or tricks to playing Azir that would be worth adding to my game?
No, there are none. Azir's
practice,
don't play Azir. Azir's unless you want to spend like a ton of time learning all the he's bad in the current meta, and he's bad overall, and he's hard. So it's like handicapping yourself so hard if you decide to pick him that it doesn't make any sense. He's even bad in Earth now. I had some games where I played Azir in Earth, and he sucks. It's terrible. Everyone just has Predator, and they just run on you. You can't do anything.
Yeah, I hate to shit on your champion, but maybe not.
Yeah, don't play. I think Azir is just too hard to play overall for the majority of the player base. So even if he was really good, it's still too hard to play Azir properly to make him worth your time. I think you'd be better off putting that time into a champion like Malzahar, who it's pretty brain dead to play Malzahar during the lane
Don't
phase.
say that.
It is so brain dead to play Malzahar. You put an E, you cue the wave, and then you walk away. That's like you literally cue the front. You cue the front wave with an E on him, and you walk away, and then you minion demat the cannon minion, so you don't have to do anything else. Right? Like that's all he is. You minion demat the cannon minion. You cue
And then
E
you
the
flash
wave, and
R someone, yeah.
And then you ping me and stand under turret. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just walk back and you dance on the turret. Like that's all
That's all
Malzahar
that's
has to
what
do.
it
Great stuff.
So yeah, if
Love Malzahar. He's such a fun champion.
He's so interactive.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You guys are idiots. All right. Well, Sarah writes in. She wants to know, I watched the YouTube VOD about poke versus sustain lanes and which one counters which. It's still a bit confusing. Can you talk about the difference between poke and sustain lanes and the deal with champion select, I'm assuming? Or picking them for champion select? Oh, go ahead.
I feel like right now it's not poke versus sustain. It's like sustain versus all in kind of is what's meta, at least in bot lane. If that makes, because I feel like you still see Janna and things like that, but I don't know. I like which one's stronger. I'm trying to read over with. I should have read the question better.
She wants to know the difference between poke and sustain and how to play with those lanes. Like if you're
Well,
poke
you can
lane and
play
sustain and
you can play
etc.
you can play Soraka and do both of them really well. But in general, I think sustain beats out poke. It really depends on how you play it. It's not like this or that kind of thing. It depends how you play it. There's not one that's particularly better than the other, in my own opinion.
Yeah, this question's kind of hard at this point because, like you said, there is no really poke versus sustain anymore, and even in solo lanes, there's no poke versus sustain. It's all in or it's farm and roam. I think I think you're better off looking into how to abuse your specific champions or timings on your champion than you are looking into playing specific styles of matchups, because matchups so widely vary that it's not poke versus sustain, it's Garen versus Teemo, right? I know those don't make sense, but you get what I mean. Like it's champion versus champion at this point, and bottom lane is all in versus how to not die.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, poke versus I think sustain's really annoying just because Vladimir. If you're playing mid lane versus Vladimir as a poke champion, your poke doesn't matter at all because he just heals through it. Like that's kind of the most glaring, easy one to pick out, just because Vladimir's lane sustain is so crazy that it doesn't matter if you're poke. It's like you're not even there. He's just farming for free and healing off the minions. It doesn't matter what you do to him. He doesn't have any mana cost, so he can just stay in lane forever, and he will almost always be able to stay in lane longer than a poke mage will be able to have mana to continue poking him. And then he can just start, instead of healing off the minions, he can start damaging you, and then it's like a slow burn where eventually you'll have no mana and be low, and he'll be full health, and you haven't done anything. So in that case, sustain is a lot better, but it's kind of depends on what champions you're playing.
Yeah, it just if we're talking about overall, if this meta ever shifts back to being ADCs good in the bottom lane, if you're playing poke versus all in, or you're playing poke versus sustain, you're just basically trying to match the sustain lane if you can't kill them early. If you can't kill them within the first X number of levels, or really if it's bottom lane, if you can't kill them before they get an item, or if you can't come back with a power spike that's larger than theirs, you just have to match what they're doing and then hope that your team is playing enough of the meta that they're able to counter what the enemy team is thinking about doing. I know that is such a broad stroke to paint, but if the sustain lane is pushing you in, you're under tower. And now Malzahar has finally pushed out mid lane and decides to walk bot along with the jungler. The same thing should be happening. At least your jungler should be able to recognize that that's going to happen and be bot to try to help out that eventual dive and at least turn it in not necessarily turn it in your favor, but equalize it to the best, the best of their ability. Really, anytime we play this game, we're all trying to be like Thanos, just trying to be balanced and equality.
Wait, I still haven't seen that movie. Don't spoil anything.
Nothing has been spoiled, I promise.
Okay. You're scaring me. I've avoided the internet for so long that now it's died down a little bit, and I've finally peeked my head out again, and I need to I need to see it. I might not see it till it comes out on.
Jesus Christ! But there's so much
TV.
I want to talk. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
I apologize, but not really. Don't spoil it, or I'll be really sad.
All right. I'm going to answer another one of Sarah's questions here. How can I better lane with champions that take Targons? They always seem to mess with my CS timing.
So, you can go Q.
No, you go.
If you have Targons, it shouldn't do anything with your CS timing because the Targons will execute it unless you're playing with like a Thresh who doesn't have the execute and is the only one that would really still take Targons. So it shouldn't do anything unless might be an issue of your support just randomly auto attacking minions rather than trying to use the Targon's proc. Because the Targon's proc will kill the minion, so it shouldn't do anything. You both will get the gold.
Yeah, I don't. It should only help you. It should never really hurt you, unless you're getting trolled somehow.
The only time that I have a problem playing with a Targons is when I expect the support to use his or her proc at Targons and they don't use it, and then I miss out on CS. And if that happens, we've already talked about it, I'll start taking all the CS at that point because I'm not losing 10 minions to your lazy ass. But that's the only time it ever messes with me because you should expect that you know what you can do is if the game starts and you're playing bot lane, you're playing someone with Targons, you should just kind of ask them, how do you plan to use Targons? Or are you going to be using Targons when the proc is up? I don't know. There's some way to like type to them like, I expect you to take all the cannon minions with Targons procs. And as long as you should be paying attention when they have a proc available and letting them CS for you. There's no CS timing here that should ever be throwing you off. And if it is, you just kind of you're going to have to be more proactive with what targets you're choosing and have a better idea of how they're going to work with you to really use those Targon procs properly.
Yeah, if I'm playing a Targon support, normally what I say is I just say at the beginning of the lane phase, I'll ping which minions I'm going to take, and then normally I don't have a problem from there on out. I just ping the ones I'm going to take, and then they ignore it or I ignore it, and then it's really simple from there.
Well, let's jump back over to Eric's question that's over here. What do you think about throwing 2 tanks in the bot lane while having hyper carries in the other 3 lanes?
Well, Dom and I have played Orange Trundle bot lane with pretty good success, so I definitely think 2 tanks in the bot lane can be successful. I don't know about hyper carries in other lanes. Maybe you can have like a Yi in the jungler or something like that. But if you're just looking to if you're trying to like shape the meta around forcing your tanky players to be bot, I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing ever. But you have to, because then you might have the problem where if your top side is losing and they're behind, they have no one beefy that can ever deal with anything. So I don't think you should try and pigeonhole your tanks into being bot lane. But I think if you have the right kind of team comp, that for sure can work.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's something you need to force per se.
This is all around picks and bans. You can't do 2 tanks in the bot lane that are looking to kill you because at that point you're looking all in. J for Leona something, right? And Orange Trundle, whatever it is. But if they pick Sivir against you, you've completely fucked yourself when it comes to that strategy. Like that one champion counters everything you're trying to do. Therefore, your bottom lane can't get ahead. And tanks aren't going to be good without items to back them up. And so, if you can't at least get 1 kill out of bottom lane, you are now essentially weaker than the enemy team. The enemy's 80 carry or whatever it may be. How often have you, now this leads me to the question, how often have you picked like Orange Trundle into another double tank bot lane or into another crazy lane? Because I still feel like a lot of people are picking some kind of 80 carry in bottom lane. I feel like I see more.
I've only played into, I played into a Renekton once, and that was the only time I ever played into a non-ADC, I think. And it went fine into Renekton. It's actually better into that because they're kind of in your face. You can just kind of deny them a bunch of stuff. It's easier than playing into something like Ezreal or something like Sivir. Dom and I think we either ban like Soraka, some combination of Soraka, Sivir, and Ezreal. That's normally what we try and get off the table. And Fiddlesticks is good also against that kind of stuff. But we can't hog 4 bot lane bans. No. We're too generous with our banning.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that as this conversation was happening. That I feel like every time I play, I hardly see some of those weird ass non-traditional bot lanes. I still feel like I'm still seeing a lot of 80 carries come out of bot when you guys are playing. I know it's not always the case, but like maybe at least 50% of the time. And we're never playing 80 carries ever when we're playing.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're normally the 50% that plays the troll stuff just because we're like, well, let's see if this will work bot lane. But yeah, I agree. I don't think that the off meta or the non-traditional stuff is quite as prevalent as it can be made out to be, but it's like it for sure still has a place, but it's not in every single game. It's a lot, but what is in almost every game is the ADC taking TP now. That's kind of been a shift away from heal.
Q, I know I've seen you been playing a lot more on your Smurf with your buddies. Is there a lot of just traditional bot lanes going around or some variants of it?
Yeah, mostly. I see a lot of they don't do crit 80 carries as much, so they'll play Jhin, Kai'Sa, But yeah, they do Lucian, but they'll play them.
So none of those crazy type of things. It does take a long time for it to trickle down from the top. Like I know that bronze, for example, being the bottom, a lot of the stuff that would happen in diamond 6 months ago will have trickled down to bronze by the time that it's already out of favor in diamond, right? But that's how long it takes to trickle down there before people realize that it's powerful.
Yeah, there can be a little lag from what people who really stay on top of the meta and play what's meta as it becomes meta, and then people who are way behind and are still playing like lethality Jhin from like season 6.
Man, love me some lethality Jhin.
Yeah, me as well.
Well, that's an hour or roughly thereof. I think we made it, and I think Q has made it through his first trial by fire here.
Excellent.
Listener question bonanza.
How'd I do?
I don't know. How do you think you did? The listener, see, here we go. Interview questions. What is your weakness? Right? Like, what do you feel?
I'm a perfectionist and I work too hard.
That's a fucking cop out answer. Get the hell out of the interview room.
He's hired. Did you hear that? That sounded so good. You sold me.
Well, that's it, guys. I hope you guys are all enjoying this. I didn't mention it earlier. I was going to say about the host updates. I've started messaging people. If you haven't received a message from me yet, that does not mean that I don't want you or that I'm not going to use you or that I haven't thought about you. It's that I'm slowly working my way through people one at a time. Like, obviously, Q is here, and likely Q will be back here next week when we start doing 2 podcasts again. As well, I'm going to probably have a new listener in here. We just like to... the process for those of you that haven't received an email from me is get you in. We're going to play games together. We're going to get to kind of know you. You're going to be put on a podcast, 1 or 2 of it, and then as a group, we're going to make a decision whether or not we like you. So as of right now, Q is going to sweat bullets as we try to decide if we like him or not. My vote is for he's an asshole, and I hate him, and I don't want him on any show.
He said Malzahar's hard. I don't know, man.
I forgot that he's
jealous. Okay.
Yeah, right. I know this mid lane guy over here playing Vel'Koz just doesn't want to take the easy way out and play Malzahar.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening to Trinity Force podcast. We will see you all next week as we're not recording another episode because it's the 4th of July tomorrow. So, guys, happy Independence Day if you're in America. Otherwise, you take your tea and don't fucking ship it over to us or something like that. Guys, we'll see you all again next week.
Later.